Here, scores of Chinese students have turned out in central London to protest over what they say is biased coverage about China by us, the BBC. The students claim journalists have not been reporting the truth about China's relationship with Tibet. Let's go live to central London, join our correspondent Navdeep Dhariwal, who joined us from just outside the Palace of Westminster now. Navdeep, over to you.
Well, with international attention focused on Beijing and the Olympics in 2008, China had hoped to showcase the best of its country. But with events that have unfolded in the past few months in Tibet and with the reporting of the relay torch, things, according to these students, have been distorted mainly by the BBC. Now, about 300 or 400 students have turned up here today, and they're carrying various banners saying the BBC is arrogant and biased, stop media distortion, don't lie. They say they want a more balanced coverage of events in China and particularly in Tibet, and they don't want to see so much focus on the negative aspects of the torch relay. We've seen, obviously, the torch almost being plucked out of the hands of one of the torch bearers during its run through here in central London. And people are saying that here, the students anyway, are saying the BBC is biased. So I'm joined by one of the students protesting. There are 100,000 students, Chinese students, here in the UK, and one of them is Becky Quinn. Becky, why are you particularly focusing on the BBC's coverage?
Yes, I think we're here protesting firstly not only BBC but also many Western media. But the reason why we're focusing on BBC now is perhaps we were here and we proved for ourselves. For example, I was in London, right in front of Houses of Parliament and in Ladbroke Grove during the torch relay on 6th of April. And we saw thousands of students coming from all over the UK to support, the torch relay, and we're really excited about it. But when I went back to Cambridge and when I saw the recorded version of BBC News 24, we were disappointed to see nothing about the supporting group at all. It was as if the torch was just struggling its way through London, and how it was all about how people were so resentful of it and how people were trying to grab the torch or stop the torch relay. I think that's perhaps one example. And another example might be the famous Mr. James Reynolds report.
Can I just ask you about Tibet? I mean, you're saying that the BBC is unfair and unbiased. I mean, some international press were allowed into Tibet after the problems there, but the BBC weren't. How can we possibly give an accurate picture of what's going on there if the Chinese authorities don't let us in?
I think what we saw, let's talk about some facts. 17 media agencies were allowed into China, into Tibet, after the 14th of March incident. And what we saw mainly from BBC is quoting of numbers, for example, blurring numbers like 80 people killed without specifying, for example, how much are innocent victims, or without hearing from both sides. And of course, we realized one fact, which is what I went back to home and watched Newswatch. So
you're very unhappy with the BBC's coverage, clearly. Becky, I'm just going to stop you there because we need to go back to the studio now. But in its defence, the BBC says it does report all sides of the story. In order to do that accurately, it needs to get access to the areas where we're clearly seeing some conflict.
OK, Navdeep, at that demonstration today, thanks very much. Navdeep Dhariwal there.